Welcome to Mind Body Monday. I'm so excited to see you all here again. Have you all here again? Welcome. In today's Mind Body Monday, you'll be learning about the vagus nerve and how to enhance your digestion, how to have a vibrant immune system, and how to gain calm and have an anxious-free mind, all through understanding and applying what is coming your way in today's Mind Body Monday. In fact, I joke with my patients coming in from the cold and complaining about the cold. And I say, you know, cold weather is probably one of the fastest ways to Vegas. And for those who are not familiar with the slot machine world, I'm sort of pulling down on a one-arm bandit, and you'll understand shortly why. The vagus nerve regulates so much of our bodies, our digestive system, our stress levels, the levels of inflammation in our body, how anxious or calm we are, and our immune response, and more. The vagus nerve is the 10th nerve in our brain. We have 12 cranial nerves, and the vagus nerve is counted as number 10. So I decided to give away 10 gifts to those of you who play full out in the chat today, and stay to the very end as you do that. Just go ahead to get started and type the word Vegas, that's V-A-G-U-S, gift, in the chat now to get started. Wonderful, wonderful. So if you're watching the replay, remember to post comments as you go along, as they help not only support others, but I get to answer your questions as well. And if you're listening to the podcast, then you're sure to be checking out the show notes for the extra resources there. If you're new to Mind Body Monday, my name is Avraham Gundle, founder and director for the Center for Integrated Medicine. I'm qualified as an osteopath, and I practice functional and integrated medicine. And over the last 30 years or so in private practice, I've been really privileged to have helped thousands of patients heal from a diverse range of chronic health conditions, be they gut issues, eczema, anxiety, diabetes, autoimmune conditions, etc., just to name a few. And I always like to kick off Mind Body Monday with a story from my practice. So just before the beginning of COVID, a 56-year-old woman came to see me suffering from digestive problems. The majority of the foods she would eat either would cause her stomach pain, cramping attacks, and most often the runs. Most of her gut systems kept her at home and isolated, as she needed urgent access to the bathroom. As you can imagine, she didn't have much of a life. Her situation was compounded because of overwhelming stress that she was under at the time. She had seen many specialists and wasn't getting the help she needed. In fact, she was only getting more and more medication, which didn't seem to move her along to healing. And one of the many things I did to get her digestive system back on track and her life back was to regulate her vagus nerve. What happens if I told you that the secret to having a vibrant immune system and a calm, anxious-free mind was to regulate your vagus nerve? So let's begin at the beginning. How does the vagus nerve affect our health? The vagus nerve serves as a communication pathway between our brain and our gut. It's often dubbed as the gut-brain axis. Think of it as a two-way highway that starts at the base of our brain and travels all the way down through our throat, thorax, innervating the heart, the stomach, the colon, and further down as well. And in place of cars traveling along the highway, this highway of the vagus nerve carries chemical messengers such as feel-good hormones as dopamine, serotonin, and GABA, very important brain neurotransmitters that affect the gut and the brain and our nervous system. By the way, for those of you who may be wondering, and that's the clue, what the word vagus actually means, when I was studying osteopathic medicine, understanding a little bit of Latin always came in handy. And in fact, it was taught at the high school I went to as well, and it was very helpful. The Latin word for vagus means wandering. The words vagrant, vagabond, vague, and even divagation. That, by the way, is a great Scrabble word. These mean to wander or stray off from a course or from a subject, a bit like what I've done right now, as they all come from the same root. This is because the vagus nerve starts in the brain and wanders all through the thorax, the heart, the digestive organs, and down into the stomach and colon and pelvic organs as well. There are two branches of the vagus nerve, and it's needed to regulate very important functions in our body, like our heart rate, sweating, facial expression, contracting muscles and intestines to help support digestion. And the brain sends stress hormones down the vagus nerve to the gut to create gut feelings or butterflies in the stomach that some people experience during an emotionally charged moment. So what happens in vagus does not stay in vagus. What I mean by that is whatever goes on in our brain will affect our gut, and whatever goes on in our gut will affect our brain through this highway, the gut-brain connection, mediated through the vagus nerve. So stimulating this vagus nerve or lack thereof can impact a person's health in many, many ways. When the vagus nerve isn't working optimally, a person could experience a lot of health problems. For example, there's a condition called gastroparesis, which is basically a slowing emptying of the stomach, which may result in SIBO, which is a bacterial overgrowth in the gut, panic attacks, ringing in the ears, also tinnitus, feelings of isolation and depression because of the dopamine, serotonin involvement. It could impact a person's weight, cause irritable bowel, have an abnormally slow heart rate. It can even impact B12 deficiency, and also has a major role to play in seizures, epileptic seizures. So while more research is needed investigating all the ways the vagus nerves impact our health, we do know that it has a major impact on our parasympathetic nervous system. That's PNS. Now, this is also known as the rest and digest response, and it really works to bring our body back into balance after periods of stress, and is also activated when you're resting and digesting our food, hence the name, rest and digest. So there are 5 ways that the vagus nerve can affect our well-being. I'm going to just cover these 5 topics quickly, and then I'm going to share with you my favorite ways that we can bring about and restore balance to the vagus nerve. And this is the key take-home message as well. So the 5 ways the vagus nerve affects our well-being. The first one is stress. Stimulation of the vagus nerve is linked to a decrease in the sympathetic nervous system. This is the fight and flight response. And it lowers that, which is a good thing. And it also raises what we called earlier the PNS, the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest part of our brain and our nervous system. So when we're under stress, the sympathetic nervous system is increased, which is not a good thing. So by decreasing the sympathetic nervous activity, by stimulating the vagus nerve, that is a good thing. And I'm going to share with you some ways that you can do that. The second impact of the vagus nerve is on our digestion. And the vagus nerve is responsible for managing the whole digestive nervous system process by sending signals to your stomach and telling the muscles there to contract and help push the food along the digestive system into the small intestine and well beyond. The third area where the vagus system impacts, I mentioned, it goes from the back of our brain and affects our heart. It also affects our kidneys. So it impacts our blood pressure. So balancing the sympathetic, the relaxation nervous system, part of our nervous system, and the sympathetic nervous system, the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, these parts of our autonomic nervous system are very important to balance heart rate and blood pressure. So stimulating the vagus nerve will do that. Number 4, your vagus nerve influences more about your general mental health than just stress. Chronic stress can trigger other mental health problems like anxiety, panic attacks, and depression. By improving health of the vagus nerve, you are effectively rebalancing and restoring the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest part of our nervous system, which really helps to relax the body and cause calm and relaxation, and will help towards healing panic attacks, anxiety, etc. Now, the 5th element is relaxation. And even if you aren't struggling with chronic stress or anxiety, stimulating the vagus nerve really helps induce deep relaxation and produces feelings of calm. It's in a state of relaxation, active relaxation, that healing is accelerated in your body. So if you might suspect that you have a sluggish vagus nerve or you have challenges in any of these areas I've just mentioned, I want to share with you 6 of my favorite strategies that I found helpful in my practice to stimulate it naturally. So as an osteopath, my number 1 go-to are my hands. So osteopathic manipulation has shown to help address the vagus nerve by working on specific areas of the spine and the neck. Also, by the way, massage and reflexology has also been researched in this, acupuncture and craniosacral therapy. These are various hands-on techniques. Obviously, there are many, many more, but these are some of my go-tos. The second way to address balance to the vagus nerve is through the breath. And since this is Mind Body Monday, I always like to bring in a practical component. So the breathing technique to stimulate the vagus nerve is a deep belly breath where the belly expands outwards, the ribs expand to the sides, and the out breath is longer than the in breath. So what I like to teach my patients is what I call the 4-6-8 breathing technique. And for beginners, it may be a good idea to call it the 4-4-6 breathing technique, which is basically, we're going to do it in a minute. So here's the instructions. You'll breathe in for the count of 4. So breathe in over the count of 4. You'll then hold your breath for 6 if you can. And if it's too difficult for you, hold it as long as you can. But this is the key. Your out breath should be longer than your in breath. So you breathe in for 4, hold for 4 or 6, whatever you can manage. And then through pursed lips, a long out breath for the count of 6. So why don't we try that? So the first step is simply just to breathe out. And I'm going to count as you breathe in for 4. Breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now breathe out slowly for 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Very good. And take a regular breath. I'm just curious, for those of you who did this, what did you notice just with one cycle? Type in the chat, what did you notice from doing one cycle of vagus stimulating breathing technique? Let's do one more cycle. Now, typically I have my patients doing this for anywhere between 1 3 or 5 minutes or even longer, depending what a challenge is. But if you find yourself at home or in a stressful situation, in a line in a bank, or whatever it happens to be, you can practice your vagus breathing. And the best way to do that is just as I said. So let's try that once again. Breathing in for 4. Breathing in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And breathing out through pursed lips for 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And breathe normally. Well done. Well done. Go ahead. Type in the chat. What did you notice the second time around? Some people are typing in relaxation, more relaxed. Relaxation. Very good. And this is only 2 rounds and it takes about, in just a few moments. Imagine if you would do this for 3 to 5 minutes. It's a good thing to do, by the way, just before you go to sleep at night and even on waking up in the morning, as it sets your vagus nerve up for success for the rest of the day. So that is deep belly breathing. And let's now look at my third most favorite technique. I'm just going to press pause for a moment. One of my favorite ways to stimulate the vagus nerve is to flush your face with cold water, or for those who are more fragile, with slightly cool water, or even take a cold shower. For exhibit purposes, we have exhibit A, which is an ice bucket. This is cold water from the fridge with some ice floating inside it. And this is really a wonderful way to either dip your hands in and just splash your face with delicious cold water. And it really is refreshing. And one of my morning routines is to take a cold plunge pool dip early in the morning. We are privileged to have a plunge pool. It is about 8 degrees Celsius, which is about 46 degrees Fahrenheit. And first thing in the morning, I'm in the plunge pool, and it is vibrantly fresh, to say the least. And there's so much research about cold water applied therapeutically, as it does wonders for the body, the mind, the immune system, and improving vagal tone. So that's something I can do. And I recommend to my patients, actually, just at the end of a shower, all through summer and winter, have a cooler shower off. Now, in the beginning, you want to maybe just move it from hot to warm and get your body ready slowly and gradually for cooler water. There's more strategy involved there, but the idea is to end off with as cool as you can comfortably go. The next strategy to increase your vagal tone is gargling, and you don't need a sore throat for that because the vagus nerve passes through the throat area, and research has shown that gargling quite forcefully allows the vagus nerve to be stimulated, and that it helps to get all the benefits. So there are another 3 strategies. This one sounds kind of unusual, but if you've been following me along with a gut-brain connection, it will make perfect sense. And this is to eat cultured vegetables like sauerkraut, or to take a probiotic. Why is this? Because studies have shown that an improved action on the vagus nerve occurs, and reduced stress hormone production happens as a result of specific bacteria in probiotics or in cultured vegetables, specifically something called Lactobacillus rhamnosus, which I mentioned in previous Mind Body Mondays, and Bifidobacteria longum. These are long names, yes, but they do stimulate the gut and help the vagus nerve. And research has shown, this is through the GABA receptors that I mentioned earlier on, that travel in the vagus nerve. Now, this month is the month of Adar in the Jewish calendar, and this is the time to increase joy in our life and look for all sorts of excuses to smile, giggle, and be happy. And we just found another one, Mind Body Monday vagus nerve stimulation practice. And that is laughter and giggling therapy. And it's really simple. It's just laughter or giggling. Find any sort of reason to do that, because this really does stimulate the vagus nerve in an extremely powerful way. Besides, it's lots of fun. You can do it in the mirror by yourself or with friends and family. Now, one of the most powerful is something called autogenic training. It's an extremely well-researched process to deeply relax your body and mind and accelerate healing. And it does this by resetting the autonomic nerve system and improving the vagus nerve. So that was quite a lot of information. Let's take a nice deep breath in again. And this time, as you breathe out, drop your shoulders, relax your chest, and soften your belly. And let's do one more vagus nerve breathing for practice. Breathing in for 4, breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath while you relax your shoulders. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And breathing out for 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well done. Well done. Now breathe normally. Now coming back to my patient that I mentioned in the beginning. As part of her healing program, I prescribed an autogenic routine in a specific way. Now, several months after she started the full program, she rang me and asked me, Avraham, guess where I am? And I had no idea. She called me from the communal garden to the entrance of her building. She lived on the top floor and was in charge of the building, maintenance and repair, etc., which included tending to the entrance garden of the building. She loved pruning roses and the geraniums there, but was unable to do so for many, many months because of her bowel condition. She was finally able to prune the flowers, and she called me from the gardens. A few weeks later, she rang again, so I got another opportunity to play the guessing game. This time, she rang me from a shopping mall. She was able to get out and about with her friends for the first time in over 18 months. This was a major victory for her in her healing journey. In summary, knowing about the vagus nerve and cultivating its health through taking simple steps will only help you to enhance your digestion, cultivate a vibrant immune system, and gain a calm and anxious-free mind. So just before I end with a weekly challenge, there's a brand new program that I'm going to be announcing soon. So stay tuned. So coming back to the gift for the lucky winners, I'm curious to know who is going to be amongst the 10 lucky winners to get the prize, which is a gift of my autogenic training, professionally recorded, none other than myself, by myself. So I'm going to give this gift to you. I'm going to go through the chat, and I look forward to you receiving the gift, unpacking it, i.e. downloading it, and using it as per the instructions in the download. So someone's just asked in the chat, to gargle with salt, how much? No, you do not need to gargle with salt. This is not for, sore throats. You can just gargle with water, and to stimulate the vagus nerve, cool water is best, or you can alternate between hot or warm water and cold water. Just a couple of minutes, once or twice a day is a good way to do that. So to end off with the weekly challenge, the weekly challenge is 2 things at least. One is, you can choose between one of these, is the deep belly breathing, the 4, 6, 8 breathing as we've experienced today, or to take cooler showers, or end your bath or shower with cooler, slightly cooler water. It doesn't have to be cold. Again, I'm taking plunge pools at really cold, but I've trained myself and I do this all through the winter. And you can splash your face with cold water. That's another way to do it, or even dip your hands in cooler water. This stimulates your vagus nerve. So I just wanted to thank you again for joining Mind Body Monday, and I look forward to seeing you next week. And remember, Mind Body Monday is where self-care is the heart of healthcare. All you need to do is take one small step forward to enhance your health and well-being in mind, body, and soul. See you next week.